The expert panel judging this year's award say the high standard of entries made the job of picking winners difficult. But this residence in Merewether was a joint winner of the Menkins Award, along with the Maroba Nursing Lodge in Waratah. The painstaking restoration of the Civic Theatre and Claremont House, part of the Newcastle Club, won the Heritage Award. Other award winners were the Morisset Library Extensions, the Blackbutt Wildlife and Aviary Exhibit, the Design Centre at the University, and this innovative residence called The Shed at Newcastle East.
The showers only helped to settle the dust.
The sort of rain we've had overnight along the coast here is sufficient to discourage people from watering outside, so in that sense it's very useful. But what it doesn't do is replenish the catchments.
In the 24 hours to 9 o'clock this morning, the Central Coast received minimal falls. Newcastle and Lake Macquarie fared better. Around Cessnock, slightly more rain fell, with the Upper Hunter around Scone receiving the most significant drops. Total storage levels at Chichester, Grahamstown and Tomago is just below 62%. A 2% drop is all that's needed for first-level restrictions to be imposed, the banning of sprinklers during daylight hours. A Water Corporation board meeting today received approval from state government to implement the bans when considered necessary.
If there isn't decent rain, that we'd be into restrictions in probably 2 or 3 weeks.
To ease the situation, heavy downpours are needed near the 3 catchment areas to replenish stocks.
At the moment, for example, the Williams River, which is where we pump from to put water into our major storage at Grahamstown, has 0 flow in it. It's very unusual. It's the first time in 4 years.
Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
The Giants went to a 1-0 lead at the top of the 3rd inning in Game 1. The Eagles finding it difficult to get Adelaide pitcher Martinez away. An error by import Jeff Blum at shortstop and pitcher Everett Stool giving up a walk left runners on 1st and 3rd. The Giants' Andrew Scott delivering a winning blow with a 3-run homer. "4-0 up and the Eagles fought back. An error from a Blum hit allowing John Martin to register the home side's first run. A double play by the Giants at the bottom of the 6th left the Eagles needing 3 runs to tie the game in the last, something they didn't achieve, but after winning the second encounter will go into tonight's final double-header with renewed confidence.
Civic Park adopted an ethnic theme with a wide range of groups showing off their culture in a colourful exhibition.
Well, today is an attempt to bring families together in an air of spirit of goodwill and enjoyment. As you can hear in the background, it's all happening today.
While the festival took on a family flavour, coinciding with tomorrow's launch of Family Week, it is also aimed at promoting the region's multicultural society.
Today is about celebrating the family, and more importantly, we want to emphasise the multicultural heritage that we've got in the Hunter particularly.
The Broadmeadow School Band was on hand to entertain, as were the greeter dancers. But the most popular activity for the kids was the traditional Mexican piñatas. After a few enthusiastic attempts and one almighty whack, the lolly-filled witch fell, resulting in a mad scramble. Proof that children from all cultures share an appreciation of the sweeter things in life. Amanda Bolger, NBN News.
Telecom Mobile Net sailed into a tranquil Newcastle harbour this morning, in contrast to the mountainous seas which plagued last year's Sydney to Hobart, in which the all-female crew finished fourth on handicap.
Last year was gates of hell stuff, really. It was it took us 6 days to get to Hobart. We sailed very, very hard in conditions that were just unheard of.
We have 13 crew and 10 of that crew came last year, so either I don't know, they're very enthusiastic or they've got very short memories. I can't quite figure out which it is.
An all-female crew first competed in the Hobart in 1974. In its third race this year, Telecom Mobile Net will be joined by 2 other all-women New Zealand entrants and countless other females crewing for an expected record fleet of around 400 yachts.
What it means is that we're getting more women on all of the boats, so we're changing attitudes and we're changing them quite rapidly, and it's not just us, it's with the support of the male gender as well.
The Kerry Jordan-trained AJC Derby winner Innocent King returning to form and paid $6.50 for the win and $2.80 for the place. To Sydney, where the punter sent the Max Lees trained Sweet October out of 5-2 favourite in the Goodwood handicap over 1,350 metres. Ridden by Mark Newnham, Loretta's Wish returned 14.30 and 4.40, Sweet October 1.50 and Shy Royale 2.10. And the carnival atmosphere continued at Scone with a second meeting on the town's new track. The Class 1 handicap over 1,200 metres, one of the highlights. Osmar returned 9.50 and 2.80, River Breeze 4.70 and Beaumont 1.70. After being sent into bat on a wicket offering the bowlers some early assistance, Newcastle made an indifferent start, Graham Warren dismissing Murray Christie and his opening partner Steve Mace. 2 for 36 and the experienced combination of Mark Curry and Greg Arms consolidated the innings, putting on 118 for the third wicket. Newcastle then collapsed before March and Brown took the total over 300. Meantime, Canberra's Luke Grattan has won the inaugural Gelignite Jacks Biathlon at Port Stephens. 220 took part in the event, which featured a 2-kilometre swim at Shoal Bay and 18-kilometre cross-country run. Manly's Helen McGeechee won the women's race, which organisers claim will become an annual event. And in soccer, the third round of the Toohey Summer Sevens was conducted at Austral Park last night. Highfields Azzurri remain undefeated in the competition after a 4-0 victory over Hamilton Olympic, while Toronto Awabba, Lake Macquarie and the Rosebuds all had decisive victories. The new surfing event was established to coincide with the Lake Macquarie Games, with organisers keen to increase its stature by running a professionals feature event. Council will partly fund the venture, which may be matched by organisers who put up $1,500 for yesterday's event. Catherine Hill Bay members David Frodsam, Justin Lee and Paul Rostrom filled the placings in the open event. Christian McCall won the juniors, while Boorigle's Natalie Hain took out the women's. In touch football, Wallsend has defeated Maitland 4-3 in the regional men's final. The home side was outplayed by Wallsend, with Matt Jackson named the final's best and fairest player. Maitland made amends in the open women's final, beating Erina from the Central Coast 4-3. Hunter sides have been selected for the regional titles at Tamworth in April, where a country team will be chosen to play city. Meantime, choppy conditions on Lake Macquarie hampered the Hunter Rowing Club's annual regatta. The local club won the day for the fourth consecutive year, one of the features being Sean Freeman's victory over World Masters Games gold medalist Graham Nix in the single sculls.
Excellence, the more there is a chance.
One more flat. Another one.
This is the shape of things to come. A train capable of travelling well over 200 kilometres an hour, leaning into the corners as it goes. Already used in Europe and Japan, the tilt train concept is to be trialled in New South Wales early next year.
A special bogie was designed to cope with the curves. The axles are suspended in a rubber unit that allows the wheels to adjust to the form of the curve.
Feeling the way for the tilt train's arrival is a modified rail car equipped with a number of metal sensors.
These little steel sections here show when the train's in full tilt, so they're doing evaluation. These ones over here are showing when it's not, so as they go through with the stations and the platforms and tunnels, they're able to tell whether it's going to be okay to go through there without any problem.
Where the sensors rub against platforms or signal posts, alterations will be needed to accommodate the tilt train. It's a slow and painstaking process for now, but well worth the effort if the $20 million tilt train is adopted. State Rail estimates the Newcastle-Sydney run could be halved to just an hour and a quarter. An 8-month evaluation of the tilt train begins next February, when it goes on a statewide tour before being trialled on regular runs. Andrew Lobb, NBN News.
Over 50 bouts were conducted at the Open tournament, 10 fighters from the Maitland area, under the guidance of second dan instructor Nigel Robinson, representing the Hunter region. Competition catered for all ages, from the young with the frenetic movement of arms and legs at times resembling a windmill, to the older exponents of the sport. One of the Hunter's best performed fighters was Maitland's Tony Bijan, who was having his first 2 bouts in the black belt division. he won both, capping a successful day for both instructor and his pupils.
A few of my other little boys went really well, and the senior guys, they're all winners, so we should go home with quite a few trophies, which is really good.
"76 executives applied for the top job with the state's third largest electricity distributor. The position went to 35-year-old Mark Franklin, the former boss of one of New Zealand's successful electricity companies. He replaces Mr Warren Elliott, who retired after 42 years with the organisation. Mr Franklin is quietly confident he can fill the shoes.
I suppose the issues that I discussed with the board at the time were that Shortland is on a long-term strategic path, and this was going to be a long-term decision for the board.
In its annual report to Parliament, Shortland Electricity posted a $6.2 million dividend to its major shareholder, the state government. Business customers received an average 12% reduction in their bills, while domestic users saved about $15. With the national power grid designed to partly deregulate the industry from next July, Shortland Electricity says it's well positioned to thrive in a market open to competition.
There are opportunities outside our own current franchise area, and also there are opportunities external to just supplying customers with electricity.
Joanne Shoebridge, NBN News.
The environmental impact statement was put on public display today. The plan is to build a $185 million plant on this site, mixing finely ground coal with water. The coal water mix is used to fuel power stations, an alternative for oil. Coal and Allied sees Japan as its greatest market. The country is very reliant on oil. The coal water mix could be an insurance policy for them. But the company says it won't go ahead with the project if oil prices remain constant. On present pricing, the coal water mix isn't a viable alternative.
If it gets the go-ahead, the project will take 16 months to set up, needing 55 construction workers. When finished, the plant would employ 33 people.
The EIS on the project is up for public debate for 28 days. The State Planning Department will then decide if the project is approved. Peter Ryan, NBN News. If Council gets its way, the blue water wonderland of Shoal Bay is going to be a dry place this New Year's Eve.
Council has decided to agree to a petition for the formation of an alcohol-free zone around the Shoal Bay beachfront area associated with the general CBD of
400 Shoal Bay residents petitioned Council to clean up the street celebrations. 2 years ago, a girl was raped. There have been countless brawls. It's hoped the alcohol ban will make it a safer place.
Council has been given the powers under changes to the Local Government Act last year. The police can enforce the regulations. They have the power to issue fines and to confiscate the alcohol.
But it has been tried and failed before. Last year at Byron Bay, where there was also an alcohol ban, the celebrations escalated to a near riot as revellers rebelled against the order. Police simply couldn't enforce the rule with the sheer number of people. But Port Stephens residents are determined it will work.
It's going to attract the more the clientele that we're after, which is the family groups and the people here to enjoy what Nelson's Bay's got to offer, not a place to come and get drunk and cause problems.
Transfield workers are preparing for an historic job to load the first 2 sections or modules of the Anzac Frigate project onto a barge bound for Williamstown, Melbourne. While most of the frigate work went to Melbourne, some sections of the massive Navy contract came to Newcastle. These giant modules are for a frigate for the Royal New Zealand Navy. The warships are built in pieces, then put together. 2 extra hull modules are underway at the North Arm site, but today there was confirmation of more work for another 2 frigates, a $20 million contract taking the job through to 1997. Transfield obviously happy with the Newcastle product.
I think that's confirmed by the extension of the contracts that we currently have for ships 2 and 3.
The barge will be loaded with the 2 finished modules tomorrow and Saturday. It will then be towed to Melbourne. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
It was a letter from the Department of Local Government that confirmed Newcastle Council's predicament. There are now 12 councillors plus the position of Lord Mayor. That's one too many according to recent changes in the Act. To comply, there needs to be a reduction. 9, 10 or 11 councillors and the Lord Mayor. While legal advice is now being sought, a number of options have been suggested. They include dividing the city into either 3, 4 or 5 wards, or abolishing the idea of reintroducing wards altogether.
The 1991 election, there was a poll taken, and the overwhelming majority of people asked for the ward system to be reinstated, and that was to the tune of about 68% of electors. So there is no question that the electors of Newcastle are expecting a ward system to be in place.
The Department of Local Government says 12 councils in the state will have to change their present structure. The complicated issue has caused confusion in the Hunter. The changes tip to create huge problems in pre-selections and next year's local government elections.
I think it's extremely embarrassing for those people who keep a watch on councils' compliance with the Local Government Act, and the people who do that are the administration. So the administration has a question to answer here.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
The General Manager
The proposal is for a 3.7 kilometre, 2-lane road linking the Nelson Bay Gangan Road intersection with Government Road at Shoal Bay. Eventually it would be upgraded to a 4-lane divided carriageway. Council says the new road is necessary to relieve current and future congestion in Nelson Bay. It's estimated that potential traffic volumes will increase by more than 250% by the time the road is completed. For Fingal residents, the road would cut travelling time by 12 minutes. The proposal requires the clearing of about 28 hectares of native vegetation. 12 animal species listed as endangered are also found in the area. However, a number of wildlife tunnels beneath the road have been included. Port Stephens Council is calling for submissions on the EIS, which will go on display from Monday.
The impressive $2 million complex in the eastern grounds of the university represents innovative and contemporary architecture. Completed in July, it's already received a number of awards, taking out the recent Civic Design honour.
The studios had to be as big as possible, and we had to get natural light coming into each room.
There's no air conditioning in this building, so the students had to be comfortable right throughout a cold winter and a hot summer. So those are the factors that we had to take into account.
Featuring an industrial theme, the building has been designed with both practical and environmental needs in mind.
They're very sensitive with the environment out here now, and the biggest challenge was to make the building fit all of the ideas that we wanted, to collect the rainwater off the building to be reused, those sorts of factors. It was outside the normal line of an architect thinking.
Housing around 300 design students, the spacious three-level building is a marked improvement on the former cramped premises.
A lot of buildings you get a building which is designed for a purpose and then you're told how you're going to live in it. The architects have given us a building where we're going to determine how we're going to live in it, and that's probably its best feature.
Today, Minister for the Arts Michael Lee took the official honours, describing the building as a leading example of creative architectural design.
Stephen Davies was busy satisfying the appetites of truckies this morning with his quick snacks van at Carrington. But tomorrow night, Davies will be hoping to satisfy his own hunger, a desire to win the state title in his hometown. Such a performance would ensure a place in the national championships, the first three all qualifying.
Yeah, that's held down at Gosford in January, so tomorrow night this is the stepping stone for that.
The solo state titles were held at the Motordrome 3 years ago, with another local, Cessnock's multiple title holder Chris Watson, a victim of the tight competitive racing. He will again put himself to the test, as will Sydney's Craig Boyce, a likely favourite in an open field of 18 riders.
The main contenders will be Mick Poole and Craig Boyce. They've just returned home from England, a season over there. Craig Boyce, number 3 in the world this year, so it's going to be a pretty tough meeting.
Having played just 5 of 14 games on the British leg of the Kangaroo Tour due to injury, Paul Harrigan made his comeback to the Australian side against the President's 13 in Paris on Thursday night. The Chief was using the match in an attempt to break back into the Australian squad for their test with France, but that appears unlikely now after he sustained a hamstring injury in the 42-17 victory. He's been forced out of tomorrow's match against a Catalan selection side, Coach Bob Fulton picking a near-test strength team. Meantime, the Newcastle Knights have advanced to the quarter-finals of the Fijian Rugby League Sevens. The Knights had a scare in their second match, winning by 2 points after being behind for most of the game. St George, the only Sydney club to lose a match on the opening night. And in soccer, Edgeworth now lead the Toohey Summer Sevens competition following round 4 at Austral Park last night. Edgeworth had a 3-1 victory over Hamilton Olympic, while the top of the table clash between Rosebuds and Highfields ended in a 3-all draw.
There was a constant stream of celebrities through 2KO Studios. The night's Robbie Ross was there to auction off this signed Guernsey to the highest bidder. Also part of the bevy to go under the DJ's hammer, 2 cricket bats signed by the English cricket team and an autographed photo of Cliff Richard.
Just try to get that van on the road, out there all the kids, because they need it more than anyone these days.
Upstairs, the phones kept ringing as donations big and small boosted the tally. And as for the DJ...
We played just about what we like. I even played Achy Breaky Heart, but it was worth $60. Got rid of our listeners probably, but it was $60 for Hunter Life, so that was worth it.
Behind the frivolity was an important cause, the money helping to keep the Hunter Life Education van on the road to teach primary school children about good health and the dangers of drug abuse.
We're funded to less than 20% by the government, so these things, community involvement is absolutely paramount to us.
The family from the Blue Mountains was heading south on the freeway when 3 Shetland ponies ran across the busy multi-lane road. Miraculously, no one was injured. The horse, not so lucky. Police say they're regularly called to the freeway to retrieve straying stock.
The speeds are 100 kilometres plus. Next time they may not be so lucky.
A council officer tried to repair the gaps. Police have warned landowners to maintain fences, particularly fronting the freeway.
It's been 4 days since 16-year-old Gordana Kotevsky was last seen. On Thursday night, screams were heard outside her aunt's house in Powell Street, Charlestown, and Gordana's shopping bag and wallet later discovered.
We've now eliminated 2 of the vehicles that were seen in the Powell Street area on the night that Gordana was abducted.
Police are still hunting for a white Toyota Hilux 4-wheel drive, which was seen leaving the street about 8:45 p.m. Police are scaling up their investigation. Additional detectives have been assigned to the case and a special hotline number has been established. That number is 049 42 9955.
Anybody with any information whatsoever, as I said before, no matter how minute they might think it is, it's very important to us.
This was the first time Gordana had walked to her aunt's place at night after shopping at nearby Charlestown Square.
Having that in mind, we don't believe that it's a pre-arranged abduction. It just happened to be, it appears at this stage, that she just happened to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Yesterday's search through surrounding bushland failed to discover any new leads. Jane Anderson, NBN News. A Toyota Corolla had stopped at roadworks on the Pacific Highway south of Bulahidilla when it was hit from behind by this Nissan Pintara, driven by a 60-year-old man.
A Toyota Corolla sedan was, we think, was stopped at the RTA traffic control point here at Waterholes Gap, and we think that the Nissan Pintara at this stage has collided with the rear portions of that vehicle.
The driver of the Corolla, who comes from Sydney, sustained serious injuries.
The sole female occupant of that vehicle was airlifted to the John Hunter Hospital in critical condition, suffering from head and chest injuries.
A passenger in the Pintara was also airlifted to hospital in a serious condition. The driver and his wife, both from Sydney, were taken by road ambulance to hospital. They're in a satisfactory condition. In recent years, roadworks have been the scene of numerous accidents, including one at Branxton where a semi-trailer smashed into the back of 4 stationary vehicles, killing 3 people. Meanwhile, 2 people died when their car crossed the medium strip and collided with a semi-trailer on a dual-lane section of the Bruce Highway north of Brisbane. The crash happened near the Caloundra turnoff, the semi-trailer catching fire, flames spreading to nearby bush. Police are investigating the possibility the Camry sedan involved in the crash may have suffered a tyre failure. This is 2-day-old Jock Haslam. His parents, Deborah and Ben, had been on the IVF program for 4 years without success. That was until they became the first people in the region to use a new technique known as intracytoplasmic injection.
It's revolutionary, really. It involves directly injecting sperm into eggs, whereas normally with IVF we would simply place the sperm around the egg.
Here you can see the egg being held in place while it's injected with a single sperm. The fertilised egg is then placed back inside the woman.
Very important for people with low sperm counts or people where fertilisation fails with normal methods of IVF.
Until now, the only options available to such couples were to continue with IVF with little chance of success or to use donor sperm. Something some couples won't consider. The new technique was pioneered in Belgium. Jock is the first baby in northern New South Wales where the IVF method was used. What did you think when you found out that you were pregnant?
I think I nearly passed out and I think I ran around kissing half of Lingard.
He arrived on Saturday.
Just overwhelmed. It was really exciting time.
Unbelievable. Every mum that delivers a baby, no matter how they have it, deserves a medal, I think.
Jane Anderson, NBN News.